We all have our own little ways of doing stuff. I don't know if you've noticed that, but everybody does. I saw a TikTok video recently where a guy talked about something that I think all men do, the pat check.
Oh, yeah, I do.
The pat check where you're about to go out and you slap,
Phone, wallet, keys.
Phone, wallet, whatever.
The 3-step plan.
And everybody does it. And I think it's one of those things you just kind of, oh, yeah, I guess we all do that.
Well, I mean, that one's smart, though.
Yeah. The pat check is necessary. In fact, I've had some ladies tell me they do kind of a pat check. It's a little different when they have a purse, but, it's what they do. But what's funny is people sometimes point out things you don't realize you do. Like I had a guy one time do an impression of me, and he started saying, okay. And I realized I say okay all the time. When I'm about to make an announcement to people or I'm leading a team, I'm like, okay. And then the other thing is I'll clap and rub my hands together.
Yeah.
And you remember that when y'all were kids.
Oh, dude, you knew that if you just finished dinner and Dad clapped his hands and rubbed them from side to side, you're about to clean.
Yeah.
You are about to clean the house.
It was jobs
Guaranteed.
are coming.
Yep.
So when you saw the clap, you're like, oh.
Chore time.
Yeah. So these are natural things we don't even notice.
Right. You had to have somebody do an impression of you or for us to point out that you do the clap every time.
Yeah.
To be able to see
I
it.
never thought about it. I just did the clap. And those are kind of natural rhythms.
Right.
We all have them in every area. But what if we could make gratitude natural for us? And that's what we're going to talk about on today's show. We want to talk to you about how to make gratitude a natural rhythm of what you do so it really becomes a part of your life. So check it out.
This is the Thriving Man Podcast with David and Reese Maxwell. These weekly shows are designed to help you remove the confusion from your life and make real progress with your growth. No matter where you are or where you're going, we're here to help you live a life you can be proud of. So welcome to the Thriving Man Podcast.
Welcome to the Thriving Man Podcast, where our goal is to help you build a thriving life and conquer the everyday chaos. I'm Reese.
And I'm David.
And today we're talking about rhythms of gratitude. Something that I am grateful for is that every single time we start filming the podcast, someone inevitably starts mowing their lawn.
I don't know what it is.
It makes me laugh.
It's cold outside. The grass isn't really growing. We start recording, and a guy a couple doors down starts mowing. I'm like, what? How do we do this? How do they know? Oh, wait, a podcast is being filmed. Let me mow. It's crazy.
It's insane, dude. But anyway, I guess I'm grateful for the humor of it.
Yeah,
You know?
it is funny.
But we've been talking about gratitude the past couple weeks and how important it is, how it can shift our mentality and our focus.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something in the introduction, rhythms of gratitude. What did you mean by that, a rhythm of gratitude?
Well, a rhythm, when we talk about that, it's almost the habit that you do. Like a lot of us have habits that we do that you don't even think about. Like, I don't know if you've ever done this, but sometimes I'll be in the shower and you're thinking of something else because you shower every day, sometimes twice a day, depending on what you're doing, especially in the South.
Yeah.
And so you're not thinking about showering. And every once in a while you're like, wait, did I wash my hair? Did I wash? Yeah. You kind of like, did I do that? And so what I do is I have a specific way I do the shower.
Me too.
So I know if I just did this, then I'm on this stage. Because it's just a rhythm. It's what you do. And I think gratitude is something that we have to intentionally bring that in and make it a rhythm. Or because we've got stuff to do, we got to get things done, we're busy, sometimes we get overwhelmed with life. Gratitude just gets kind of forgotten.
Yeah, I think that's true. But the cool thing is, I mean, you pointed out doing rhythms, it can become so second nature.
Yeah.
You don't even have to make it happen. It just happens naturally.
Yeah.
So in my mind, like if we can build a rhythm that keeps us in a place of gratitude, that's going to be huge. Because we talked the last couple of weeks about how much of a difference gratitude makes. It can shift not only your mood, but it can even help with your problem-solving skills.
Yeah.
Because whenever you're grateful and relaxed, you begin to have more open-minded thinking. Whenever you're super negative, if you guys are like me, you tend to focus on that one thing or those few couple things that are going wrong. which closes a lot of the options that existed there. So if we can have a rhythm that sets us on the path of gratitude, almost like train tracks. It can automatically keep you going in the right direction. And then you'll have to do some work to get off track.
Yeah. Well, it's just like if you start building good habits of, let's say, hydration.
Right.
If you start drinking water regularly to where it just becomes a habit, you get to that point where you notice when you don't do it.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, gosh, I feel dehydrated. And once I started drinking water more regular, more often, it's now I have to do it. And now I don't even think about it.
It feeds itself.
It does. It does. Like I start the day with about 20 ounces of water. And if I don't do that in the morning, I feel it. It's the first thing I do. And now I'm getting a thing where I do half a lemon in some water and drink that too in the morning.
What does the lemon do?
Well, I had a scare one time that I was getting a kidney stone. And so urologist had given a friend of mine advice, half a lemon juice every day with some water can help either stop it or keep it from happening.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm on it.
Hey, that's a little extra gift to our listeners.
It was. And I figured if a urologist said it to my friend who was dealing with him, I was like, oh, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing that. But you notice when you don't do your natural rhythm things. And that's where if we can make gratitude something we do regularly, something we do naturally, not in a weird, esoteric, like we're Oprah and all this other stuff, but just make it to where, hey, I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for this person. I think you enjoy life more. And I think the people around you actually enjoy you more because you're, hey, good job on that. Hey, great job on that. Where sometimes I know for me, I get tunnel vision and I forget to be thankful for other people, what they did, how they did it.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like I necessarily need that. So it's not as easy for me to give. I have to think about it to give it. And I have to make it a habit or I'll just think, well, yeah, you're doing your job. Well, yeah, everybody does their job, but it's nice for someone to say, hey, good job. Hey, I'm thankful you're here. We couldn't do this without you. Do I need that? No. Do I like it? Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Yeah. Nobody's like, man, I really just want to be ignored by everybody that I help.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to pay time.
Yeah, for real. But you brought up a good point. It takes intentionality to build a rhythm.
Yeah.
But once you do, it keeps on giving. It's like it takes the intentionality to get it on the calendar. But once you've had it on the calendar enough times, it's like your brain gets used to it.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes second nature. You talked about that with the water. You had to be very intentional to drink that water and be like, all right, let me go drink another bottle of water. But eventually you got to the point to where you're like, I think I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
Let me go get a bottle of water.
Let me drink.
And so we're trying to do the same thing with gratitude. And for you guys, I just want you to keep in mind, establishing a rhythm of gratitude will take intentionality and effort up front. But once you sustain that for long enough, honestly, probably a few weeks, it can really begin to become natural. It'll become easier to do. And that's going to be a gift that keeps on giving, not only to you for your well-being, but for the people around you. So let's walk into this with that level of intentionality. So how can we help our guys really be able to build these rhythms? Like, you can say, all right, I'm just going to say what I'm happy for whenever I feel it. That's not going to work. So how can we custom build a rhythm of gratitude that'll keep on giving?
Well, I think there's three different areas that we need to look at. And we're going to put these in the show notes for you because there's three different things you want to look at, and each one actually has three components.
Like a rhythm, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
To build into a rhythm. And the first one we want to talk about is you got to have the method of doing it. You've got to figure out the method that you want to remember things.
How am I going to express gratitude?
What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? Because a lot of people say, I want to be more grateful. Okay, well, a lot of people say they want to lose weight. But what are you going to do about it? yeah, I want a better relationship with my wife. Okay, well, what are you doing about it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm thinking I want a better relationship. Well, it doesn't work that way. We have to come into some methods. We have to find out. And the reason we say that is every man is an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of us has our likes and dislikes,
Right.
what we're good at, what we're not good at. Like I was talking with some friends last night, and the guy was like, we were talking about football, and he said, hey, do you do fantasy football? And I said, I did for a while, but I just wasn't good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And two, it just took a lot of time and energy.
Yeah.
And for a while I enjoyed it, but then it just kind of almost felt like more work.
Turned into a chore, like
It
a
did.
part-time job.
It did. And I lost that love of the game as much as I just wanted to know what the stats were. How did my team do? Mm-hmm. So I went away from becoming a fan. Mm. For me, I just said, I'm not going to do it. But other people love it, and it makes them more into the game. That's cool. Everybody's different. And what you want to do is find those methods that work for you. Mm. And so we have 3 of them we're talking about. The first one we're talking about is remembering. And when we say that, we mean that you have to intentionally find ways to remember what to be grateful for.
Yeah. I think that one is the first one that people typically think of.
Yeah.
But we also don't always do it.
No.
Like, we mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but gratitude is simply bringing awareness to the reality that you have a lot to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And remembering is one of the core ways to do that.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about this. Health.
Mm-hmm.
I remember somebody said, when you're healthy, you want a million things, but when you're sick, you only want one thing.
Yep. That's a great line. And that's what, for us, remembering what we're grateful for means our mind shift has to change to noticing what we're grateful for.
It's a biblical reality that everything that we have is a gift.
Yeah.
Like, God is not obligated
to
do anything for us. Like, let's be real. We're screwed up. You know, it's not like God owes us a debt. He's like, all right, let me make sure to keep the rules of gravity going and make sure that the Earth's still going around the sun the way it is and that the moon still brings the tides in a predictable way. Let me make sure that all these animals are here to provide food. You know, I really owe these guys.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He gives all of this stuff generously.
Yeah.
The fact that we have our next breath is a generous gift. And I forget that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, how often do I say to myself, what a gift.
Yeah.
I can breathe. Now, if you can't breathe, then you really start appreciating breathing, you know, once that stops happening. But when you have it, you just don't think about it.
Well, and it's a thing that what you want to do is keep your mind to where you're always remembering. I was talking with someone recently who said they have not had a good night's sleep for the past 3 or 4 years, that they have a hard time. They get maybe a couple hours sleep at night.
Wow.
And they have a hard time. They've got a CPAP, but they can't wear it. It's all these, and it's a lot. And it made me go, I sleep good.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, I need to be thankful for that.
Yeah.
I need to be thankful that I have a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
So it's bringing those things up, and people say, well, I know that. Yes, you do, but do you do it?
Well, it's that whole thing of entitled. You know, like, I remember for a long time that people were talking about millennials are so entitled.
Yeah.
Millennials are so entitled. We're all entitled.
We are.
Like, we're like, oh yeah, I'm healthy. I should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I look good. I should.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm strong. I should be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my job's hot. Keep paying me to do my work. They should be.
They should be.
Oh yeah, the market's doing good. It should be. Like, that's just, if you live that way, nothing will make you happy because you think it's owed to you.
Yeah.
But if you do the opposite, if you're like, nobody owes me anything, well, then all of a sudden everything becomes a treat.
Yeah.
Everything becomes a joy. Everything becomes a gift. Even sometimes the things that aren't super convenient. You know, it can all of a sudden, if you remember, like, let's say you have a kid.
Yeah.
And they're sick that day. You had to take a day off of work to take care of them. And you're driving to the store to get them medicine. They're screaming in the back.
Yeah.
But then you remember that you have a kid.
Yeah.
You remember that they're still alive. You remember it's just a stomach bug.
Yeah.
It's nothing serious.
Yeah.
Well, then all of a sudden that shifts your mentality.
It does. It does. And remembering is important. It's an important method. And I think along with that, and one that helps you remember, is the second method, and that's rest. A lot of us don't take time to just stop the grind and just rest. And when you rest, I don't just mean go take a nap. I mean, you kind of turn things off. You turn off all the distractions, all the media.
Even your mind.
Yeah.
You know, you have to
keep your
pause.
mind. Yeah. And a lot of times that can be doing something we're going to talk about in a minute. But you want to take time to rest, because when you're resting is when your mind actually has some decompression time to kind of mull over things. And that's when you notice stuff. That's when you notice, gosh, my wife just does the laundry. I don't have to do the laundry. When's the last time I thanked her for that? And you could say, well, that's my wife's supposed to do whatever. No, you need to be thankful. Just like for her, she may, in a time of rest, recognize your hard work, everything you do for the family. Well, both of us appreciate that, and it makes us feel good. Gratitude often doesn't come when we're so busy we don't have time to think.
Yeah.
We're just surviving. And I think rest is something we have to make into our life, or gratitude will be much harder to find.
Yeah. Gratitude needs space to breathe.
Yeah, that's good.
It needs space to exist. And without rest, there is no space.
Yeah.
Because you bring up a good point. We said earlier that entitled, like it should be good.
Yeah.
That sometimes is true. But sometimes it's not that you're not grateful for anything. You think you're owed everything. It's that you're just so busy that your brain isn't even in that headspace. You're thinking, all right, I got to go do this. And then that gets done. I got to go do this. And so without rest, there is no space for gratitude to thrive.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the space to grow.
Yeah, and that's why we want to make rest a regular part of what we do. We want to incorporate it in our life. And in today's world, you have to be intentional about rest. No one's going to make you rest, because even if you have a day off, sometimes those are not very restful.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Doing chores around the house is a great example.
Yeah.
The guy who finally gets a Saturday off.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, time to work on the projects.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can do that. And so now I'm not saying you can't do things that are restful for your brain. Like some guys, a project is a way of decompressing and they can think about things. You want to find what works for you and is rest, but you want to take that time to let your mind just kind of relax. And that's when you think and notice stuff. And then the other side of that, the other third component of a method would be connecting. We all need people. And by yourself, sometimes people rest. They want to get away and be by themselves. That's good, but we need people.
Absolutely. And, well, the word self-centered starts with self.
Yep.
If you're only by yourself, you'll just be self-centered.
Yeah.
It's not that you'll try to be self-centered. It's that there's nobody else in the mental story you have.
Yeah.
And so it's just you. You're the main character, and everyone else is a supporting character.
Yeah.
And that's just not a great way to do it.
Yeah.
But connecting, it really does go close to gratitude. Like, I'll give you an example from this week. I was on a call with one of my friends on Tuesday. I just hit him up because we hadn't talked in a while. Yeah. And he asked me, how was your week? What were some of the highs of the week? And I started naming. I was like, well, this happened on Friday, and that was really cool. And then this happened on Saturday, and that was great. This all happened on Sunday, and that was really nice. And then Monday, last night, it was our small group. That was really cool. I just had 4 days in a row, which were all had big wins.
Wow.
And it took somebody asking me the question of how your week was to bring that out of me. I hadn't quite framed it that way.
Yeah.
But somebody like connecting with them and them asking me that question brought up this sense of gratitude that I would not have had by myself.
Yeah, and it's easy today to isolate ourselves, to kind of sit in the world and let the world virtually entertain us.
Yeah.
And I think we have to intentionally push ourselves out into relationships.
Yeah.
It used to be that was all people had. Well, now you can entertain yourself and never see anybody. So I think we have to be intentional about that. So that's why we say an important method for gratitude and creating rhythms is connecting with people. And that's why the 3 methods are so important. You've got to have the remembering, you've got to have the rest, and you've got to be connecting with people. Those methods are imperative for you to bring a rhythm of gratitude into your life.
Yeah, and for you guys, so you can frame it for the rest of the podcast, think of these as almost like Lego blocks.
Yeah.
They're all pieces that you can place together in a way and be intentional in a way that really fits you, your family, your friends, or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have those 3 methods, but then there's also 3 frequencies.
Yeah.
So the methods have to do with how are you going to be grateful. Frequencies has to do with how often. It's the timing.
Yeah.
The timing of your gratitude. Obviously, there is the daily scale. The being grateful every single day, it's not going to hurt. You know, it's good because when you have a daily rhythm of gratitude, that means it's guaranteed to happen regularly.
Yeah.
What are some good examples of daily rhythms of gratitude? Like if somebody was to say, I want to do it every day. What would be some examples of something like that?
Well, I think one of the best things you can do, and one of the easiest, is when you sit down with your family or with a friend, but it's almost like what the conversation you had. What's a highlight of your day? And just if you can come up with one highlight of the day, what's one good thing that happened today? Not one bad thing. We can all think of those. But what's one good thing?
Yeah.
And you say, well, I don't know what was good. You know, a bunch of stuff happened. Well, what's one good thing? Well, lunch was really good.
Yeah.
Maybe lunch was your highlight of the day.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's something you can be grateful for because the day may have been a crappy day. Everything may have hit the fan and everything went wrong, but maybe you had a really good lunch. That's okay. You're thinking of it daily. So I think just even having a simple highlight of the day, maybe you can ask your family, what's one good thing that happened today? You can train your children to ask themselves that question. And you know, for you, maybe writing in a journal is a way to keep that, or doing something, a note on your phone. Those are things you can do to just think of what is at least one good thing that happened today. And a lot of times when you do that, you're creating that regular frequency of gratitude, and then you keep yourself in that positive mindset.
Yeah. You're honestly teaching yourself and whoever you're doing that with to be grateful.
Yeah.
I remember at the dinner table growing up, we would talk about our day.
Yeah.
And that included the good things.
Yep.
And so I didn't think of it in like, oh, I'm building a rhythm of gratitude in my life.
Yeah.
But it was an opportunity to be grateful. So you have the daily scale, but then there's also, if you zoom out one, there's the weekly scale.
Yeah.
And I think the weekly scale is important. A good example of this is God gave the people of Israel the Sabbath. And Jesus said it, he put it like this: man was not made for the Sabbath was made for man.
Yeah.
So it's not that the Sabbath, like I didn't even explain what that was, but the people of Israel had on the Sabbath, they weren't allowed to do any work.
Yeah.
They weren't allowed to go make anything. They weren't allowed to buy anything or sell anything. You just had to be with your family, eat a meal together, and just be.
Yeah.
That was like enforced. It was a rule. And Jesus said that it was made for man because even God recognizes that man needs the opportunity to rest, to connect with him, and to remember that life is about more than just accomplishing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good scale to think of. Like, now, does it have to be exactly the same way as the Jewish people did for the Sabbath? No, you don't have to do that. But I had a friend who did every Saturday morning. He would wake up around 8 and he would go to a park and he would just chill until lunchtime.
Yeah.
Because Saturdays his church had a lot of events, and so he'd go do stuff. But that morning was a space for him to just have that rest time.
Yeah.
And I think we all need that on a weekly scale in some form or fashion.
Yeah, and that's where as an individual, you can figure out what fits you, what fits your family, what fits your scale of life right now. What is something you can do to bring that weekly rest, that weekly time of connecting? Because a lot of times that feeds you. It feeds your soul, and you feel more gratitude.
Yeah.
When you're just grinding and going, it's hard to feel that. So I think building that in and working to do it, no one's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But you work to build those rhythms in. You do it weekly. And then the third one that comes out of that is really a seasonal. And as we record this, we're happening, Thanksgiving's happening, we're coming up on Christmas. You know, the holidays come every year. And some people love the holidays. Some people don't like the holidays. But the holidays and times of the year, there's a really good way to bring a rhythm of gratitude to that.
Oh, yeah.
Getting with family.
Yep.
You know, even if the family might be, you know, not the easiest to hang out with all the time.
We've all got those family members.
We've
Everybody
all got
does.
them. But the traditions, the things, that's really what those are all about. It's creating a rhythm of gratitude. You know, July 4th is a rhythm of gratitude for our nation and what happened with the nation. Labor Day, Veterans Day, you know, those are all rhythms that kind of bring gratitude to the surface. And I think that's good for us.
Yep.
Because like Veterans Day, a lot of times if you didn't have a Veterans Day, you may not think about all the sacrifices that were paid so we could have freedom. And so that's what we want to understand is seasonal gratitude is a good thing. And you can build that in through the holidays, through vacations, through stuff like that. And I think those are things that can help you.
Yeah, no, I agree. Emily, her family has a great tradition that I think is cool. On Christmas, they stay up until midnight on Christmas Eve, and they drink Abuelita hot chocolate, which is, by the way, the best hot chocolate.
It is the best,
so
no doubt.
You got to try it.
Yeah.
And then they just hang out. And then once it hits midnight, they say Merry Christmas. They open a gift, just like one gift together, and then they go to bed. That's just an opportunity to connect, to be grateful, to be with family. So we've got the methods.
Yeah.
We've got the frequencies.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the 3 settings. And we have waxed eloquent, so we're going to have to blow through these pretty quick. But I'll cover the first one.
Yeah.
Personal scale. Sometimes being grateful, all that's required is you.
Yeah.
That can be journaling. You gave that example. That's a great example. Going on a gratitude walk.
Yeah.
What if you go and then just list what you're grateful for?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of ways that we can personally have gratitude. That's a good setting. And if we don't learn how to do that, all the other ones don't really matter because we don't have it happening inside.
Yeah.
So personal and individually, that's that first setting.
Yeah. And the second one would be your family and friends, which is creating that same rhythm in your family. Like we talked about, eating dinner together and saying, hey, what's the highlight of the day? Or you're hanging out with some friends and you ask the question. I love that question you got. What's one good thing that happened to you this week? Or how was your weekend? Things like that. And you can even turn it to where if someone tells you all the negative, you say, oh man, that sounds terrible. That was a bad weekend. Anything good happen? You know, and you can help them maybe come up with a good thing that happened. So it's one of those things that we can do that with our friends. We can do that with our family. And as we do that, that creates a good setting to where gratitude becomes normal. It's not that everything's going to be rosy and perfect, but you're going to notice things a little bit easier with that.
Yeah. The third setting, which I don't think we should forget, is the church setting.
Yeah.
This is a more corporate level. What is worship at church?
Yeah.
It's expressing gratitude to God for who he is and for what he has done, which is literally the most incredible thing that's ever happened.
Yeah.
So let's not get tired of that.
Yeah.
You know, there's that worship setting. Even if you have a small group
Yeah.
or a Wednesday night Bible study, you're gathering with the people of God in a group setting that's bigger than just family and friends to express gratitude to the Lord and grow closer to him. That corporate setting is also important. And really, I think having all 3 of these settings in your life is going to help you become even more grateful. Don't let the rhythms of gratitude become just rote memorization.
Exactly.
Like, all right, we got that done.
Yeah.
Let's have intentionality, not only with what we're doing, but with being present in that process. That's important.
Yeah, and you want to, when you have those rhythms built in with certain people, a lot of times that helps you kind of sometimes get over yourself. to where maybe you've had a bad day, but you're sitting with the kids and you're expecting them to tell you one good thing. Well, that helps you go, okay, I need to come up with something good.
Yeah.
And I think church is the same way. You go to church, maybe it's on a Sunday, you're tired, you don't feel it, but you go in there and you're making a decision, I'm going to give thanks to God. The Bible says it all throughout the book of Psalms, give thanks, give thanks. And I think when you do it, even if you don't feel it, I think it means more to God. And I think it helps you learn to lead yourself, which is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. So our challenge to you guys is to take one from each of these sets of three, one method, one frequency, one setting, and intentionally integrate that into your life. Think of these as Lego blocks. You don't just have to do this one forever, but get one from each, build a rhythm, and then integrate it into your life.
Yeah.
After that, get a couple more
Yeah.
and integrate it into your life. These are tools for you to add structure to help you build a life of gratitude. So do that. Happy holidays, and we'll see you next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Thriving Man Podcast. If you want to check out more resources from David and Reese, you can go to thrivingman.com. We'll see you in the next episode.